Wanted to start off by saying that as a fan of Florida State football, I feel like throwing up today. It is the first Sunday after the regular season is over. Florida State got absolutely destroyed by Florida last night. And here we are with coaches being hired all over the place. And we're left holding the freaking stink bomb that was left on our front door as fans that we just have to take inside and deal with in Mike Norvell. If Mike Alford, who is the biggest dork in the history of college athletics, had any sense of responsibility at all, he would quit this morning on the spot. All these coaches are getting hired all over the place. Currently, there are at least 4 group of 5 openings that if we had fired Mike Norvell, he potentially could have interviewed for and perhaps even been hired for one of these positions, including his old job at Memphis. So what are we doing? Why are we continuing to allow this kind of terrible coaching, this kind of terrible recruiting, this kind of terrible decision making? I guess that's enough to keep your job at Florida State in 2025. Mike Alford is an embarrassment. Florida State football is an embarrassment, and it doesn't have to be this way. I am 52 years old. I have lived through fantastic Florida State times and some lean Florida State times. And I can honestly tell you, I am absolutely gutted with the possibility of having to go through this for another 2 to 3 years. Because guess what? If they weren't going to fire him this year with $50-something million left remaining on his contract, they're not going to fire him next year with $40-something million left on his contract. They're just not going to do that. So we are going to be stuck for another 2 to 3 years minimum with Mike Norvell as the head coach. Oh, by the way, all this talk of going to the Big Ten, why would the Big Ten want a Florida State with Mike Norvell as its head coach? Florida State needs to get their heads out of their butts and realize they are costing themselves more money by keeping Mike Norvell than they would be saving if they fired Mike Norvell. Ratings are out for this year. The highest rated team in the ACC, despite how terrible they've played, Florida State. You are going to allow this guy and Mike Alford, again, the biggest dork in college football, to absolutely ruin your program because you don't want to spend the money on the buyout. Well, guess what, dumb butts? You never should have freaking given him that buyout to begin with. If he wanted to go to Alabama, let him freaking go to Alabama. All anybody wants to talk about is 2023 and how Florida State got screwed. Yeah, they did get screwed. But not because of Mike Norvell, because of all that NFL talent that was on that team that freaking got screwed over because they couldn't go to the playoff. Let's be honest about 2023. There are about 2 to 3 oddball crazy plays that prevented Florida State from losing 3 games that year. Go back to the Clemson game. There was no hope in that Clemson game until a crazy, wild fumble recovery score. So don't talk to me about how, oh, he can turn it around and he'll just hire more staff. He's had plenty of time to hire staff, to get it right, and he just hasn't been able to do it. He can't recruit a freaking spear to the side of the helmet. He is terrible for this program. He might be a great coach for a group of 5 school somewhere. He might have some just mind-blowing success somewhere else if he leaves. But what Florida State's done is they pinned themselves to this guy for a minimum of 2 to 3 years because they wouldn't pull the trigger and let him go. Had they let him go, he might have been hired at, I don't know, his old school at Memphis or maybe Tulane. You don't think Tulane would hire a Mike Norvell for name recognition and get some recruits in there? I don't know. He can't recruit for Florida State, but at Tulane, when he's trying to recruit 2 stars and 3 stars versus 4s and 5s, yeah, he might be able to get some of those kids to go to Tulane. Hell, he might be able to go to Stanford. Who knows? Wherever he could go somewhere else. He'd have been hired, which would have offset the money that Florida State owed him. But no, let's worry about consistency and you guys just hang in there and everything's going to be okay. No, it's not. And the Florida State president, the athletic director, the head coach, all are to blame for this. You're getting absolutely housed by your in-state rival last night and by Miami earlier in the year. The talent level on the field is not where it should be. I don't understand. You could have hired DJ Durkin. At least brought somebody in that is defensive minded. Have him come in, build that defense up to where it was in the 90s, in the early 2000s, where they just got after it every single play. Hell, I think I might be able to score on some plays against our defense. And I don't know that that's necessarily the kids' faults that are playing. They're coached in a certain way. And are they being coached in the right way? Sure as heck doesn't look like it. When's the last time you saw Florida State get consistent pressure on a quarterback? Yeah, it took me a couple of seconds there too. I can't think of a time. But you watched that Florida game last night. Those boys were getting after it. They absolutely were playing for their interim head coach harder than our players were playing for the head coach that was just given the vote of confidence and told that he was going to be sticking around for consistency. Those kids didn't want Norvell sticking around for consistency. They didn't care. With a very, very few exceptions, they didn't even play that hard. And let's talk about his quarterback, Tommy Castellanos. Did anybody in Florida State's fandom think that Tommy Castellanos was going to be the answer at quarterback? I guarantee you, you can say what you want. Oh, he won the Alabama game. Yeah, he played a great game against Alabama. But I guarantee you that 90% of you, when they announced that they were bringing Tommy Castellanos in, you were like, what? Why? I don't get it. I just don't get it. You got a freshman in your program that looks like he could be a superstar potentially. Put him in there. Let him play. You sucked last year. What does it matter? You give him some opportunities to learn on the job. In Sperry. I mean, like, you could have had him ready to go for next year. If you decided to retain Norvell and you'd been playing Sperry all year and you finished, 5-6, at least you could look at bright spots that, hey, man, this kid has done a great job for us this year. Look at this throw. Look at this game. Look at this. And maybe fans would have been excited about that. But there's absolutely nothing to be excited about. Half these kids are going to leave in the transfer portal. Sperry included, he'll probably leave. So then we'll be out without a potential great future quarterback. Castellanos is looking to play another year, filing an exemption to play another year. Great. Awesome. Awesome. And if he doesn't get another year, so then you're going to be going out looking for another quarterback. Who has he chosen for quarterbacks the last 2 years? Either one of those kids make an all-ACC team? Nope. I don't get it. If you're Florida State, it's time to get your heads out of your butts and do something about this program. Mike Alford, for the 3rd time in this video, you're a dork and you should quit today if you at all had any sort of self-responsibility. You have ruined this Florida State football program. Guys, thanks for watching this video. It's a rant. I know it's a rant. Just really kind of angry this morning. Try to keep it clean. A lot of other things I'd like to say, but try to keep it clean. I'm going to be talking about all kind of stuff on this channel. Just so happened that this was the day that I wanted to record this video and throw it out there on the old YouTube. So hopefully you liked it. I'll see you guys on the next video.